life.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you could probably speak about yourself all evening, Dave, but do have a few questions here related more back into the industry. And the big one that pops up a lot from the guys is, what are a few areas where you would focus on to make sure you're in your industry for more than 12 months so you can build and sustain a successful business within the PT industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a challenging question. The first thing I would say is that most challenges really come from the trainers not having enough, for me, discipline.
Yep.
You've got to have that burning desire. You've got to back that mindset. You've got to have that drive, discipline, determination, dedication. And if you don't have that, then you're really going to struggle. The other thing I think is really, really important is communication skills. After all, it is personal training. So if you're not personable and you don't want to help people, you're always going to struggle. I mean, you might be great in the gym, you might be a great trainer yourself, but unless you're really passionate about helping other people, then you're really going to struggle. So I think communication skills are really, really important, and being that personable person, being approachable is another one. And I think obviously having a great skill set, but even more so these days, you need to be able to help people get started. So when someone comes into the gym and they're looking to get started in their personal training, there's always going to be different barriers. Time is one of the biggest ones that we have these days. People have really busy lifestyles. Money's another one. So to be able to sit down with someone and be able to help them get started, that's the most important skill. So that comes back to your sales skills.
Definitely.
So once again, it's something that we go through a lot in the mentor program to make sure that the guys are doing really well. So you really got to want to help people, but after all, it is a business. And the only reason you're going to be able to help more people in the future is if you're still in business. So we've got to have a good sales strategy there in place.
Fantastic, and as you mentioned, we cover that a lot in the Bamboo course, which is an amazing side of things for most trainers trying to get into it as well. On the other hand, I know you touched on a few things there, but what do you reckon would be the single biggest problem that most trainers have to not succeeding? Why are they unsuccessful?
I think for me, they don't have that "I'll do whatever it takes" strategy. When things aren't working, they're not prepared to stick at it. Things don't just happen straight away a lot of the time. Now, obviously, we all would like to make progress and get as much progress as possible, but sometimes that progress is slower. It's a little bit like a snowball, sometimes it's slow at first, but once it starts to get a roll on, then you can get big quick. So I think that many trainers want to focus on too many different areas, 3 or 4 different areas. This is not really working for me at the moment, so rather than keep pursuing it and keep working on it and keep trying to build it, what they do is they try and do boot camps and sell supplements and do lots of other different online things. And I think they're all great, but I think you probably need to do those things once you've established a business. They're add-ons. And I think that a lot of trainers, instead of just staying consistent and doing the work and doing what it takes to build that business, they just keep swapping around it and don't have the dedication or the discipline.
Definitely, so just keep that focus, that drive on one area. A lot of guys ask too, obviously there's a lot of people coming through and getting into the industry at the moment or considering doing their Cert 3, Cert 4, and you do want to be in the personal training industry. So what would be probably one of the top key or one of the top skills for a personal trainer to have who is just starting out? What should their focus be?
For me personally, I believe that their main focus should be getting a good mentor. I really do. I think that you could have all the skills in the world, but unless you've got that mentor there that's going to keep you accountable, keep you driving forward, make sure that you're getting that positive reinforcement, it's going to be very, very challenging for you. So I think the circle of influence is so important. We talk about it once again lots in the mentor program, but having good people around you and having that good business network, someone there that you can rely on, I think that's the most important thing to have.
Fantastic. And you touched on before saying there are a fair few focuses within the industry itself, so you can go into the studio, into a gym, boot camps, so many different ways you can get into it. So for people going into the industry, what would be the best way to structure their business or best way to get into it to get the most back out?
First thing I would say is it really depends on, for me, what you're most passionate about. So if you find you're most passionate about boot camps, for instance, then maybe you should focus on boot camps. But if you're most passionate on personal training, focus on personal training. I mean, boot camps can be a great way to, or outdoor sessions can be a great way, group sessions, of bringing more business in. But for me, it's about focusing on one certain area first. So find out what you're most passionate about. Then look at what you're going to be the best at. So are you the best at boot camps or group sessions, or are you the best at personal training? And then finally, where are you going to make the most amount of money from in terms of your time? To build a great business, you do need a good source of income. So where do you make the most amount of money? Where are you most passionate? And, where do you see yourself going in the future, I guess, as well. So I think that's probably the best advice I can give for
Fantastic. So pick what you love, stick to it, and enjoy that and focus on that first before you branch out.
I think that's the key. And like I said before, focus is very important. But just on an extra element of that, I mean, if you're banging your head against a brick wall and getting absolutely nowhere, then I'd say, well, your strategy's probably wrong. So first of all, have you got your mentor there?
Definitely.
And what have they learnt from it? Do you need to change your strategy? You don't necessarily need to change exactly what you're doing, but just how you're going about it a lot of the time. I find this with a lot of people. They're great personal trainers, but yet just their consultation's not quite right. If they just tinkered with it a little bit or found an expert in that area, then all of a sudden they just have to change one or two little things and you'd find that you get massive amounts of growth.
Definitely.
So it's about find an expert, find that mentor that's great in those particular areas.
Definitely. So pretty much wrapping it up, if you did educate yourself, worked on your skills, found their mentors, you should be a good personal trainer. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
fantastic. Now, another one of the great questions the guys have asked too, because as you know, you've gotten into a bit, you've got your focus, but you've also branched out and looked into different investment strategies and properties and that. I guess, and we'd all love to know, mate, what are a couple of ways we can make more money?
It's the thing that we all want to know, isn't it? But look, I mean, there's plenty more people a lot more wealthy than I am, but for me, it's about self-education once again and making sure that you get your mentors around you. So. Looking at what you're most passionate about once again, is it property, is it shares, is it online, is it, for me I don't do much online because that's not my real focus. I don't know much about that. It doesn't mean I shouldn't do it, but I'm not passionate about it. The other thing is, for me, my main business, my main source of income is the business. So I don't want to take my focus off it. That's what I was saying before, So I want to look at different investment strategies where it's going to be minimal time. So for me, it could be shares, and in particular strategy that I use is what we call share renting or trading covered calls, and that's how I generally do it. It doesn't take me much. It takes me around about 30 minutes every month, and I get a good consistent income. It's not a massive, high return, but it's good for me. So it's about, okay, is it online stuff for you? Is it property? Is it shares? But you'll find, hands down, if you look back through time, it's always been the biggest or the best investment that you can make is a great business. So many people want to look at different things in terms of passive incomes, etc. But I mean, if you really develop that business, it'll only be a matter of time before you can start gaining some passive income from it as well.
Definitely, fantastic. And apart from doing the bamboo course, mate, to accelerate your into the PT industry, the guys would like to know for yourself any personal books or websites or anything that you've used as resource yourself that were game changers, mate.
Yep, absolutely. I think first of all, what I would say is it's extremely important to have good mentors, but it's also extremely important to have a good circle of influence.
Yep.
So those people around you, who are the people that you're spending the most amount of time with? The main progress that I got in my life, where my life really changed, is when I was spending time with good people. Before that I was spending time with, they weren't bad people of course, but they were average people. If you spend time with average people, you're going to get average results. And that's okay for some people, and that's absolutely fine if that's what you want. But if you really do want to succeed and do better, then you need to get around people with higher standards than yourself in those areas, and automatically your standards will lift. So I think circle of influence is really important. I'm really lucky that I had really good mentors when I first started my personal training career, because they showed me a lot of personal development, so both on CDs, looking at DVDs, but even going to seminars. People like Tony Robbins has been great for me, just for mindset, etc. You might look at there's so many different books, and for me, I'm not a great reader. It takes me a long time to read a book. So as I always tell the guys, listen to audiobooks, and there's never been an easier way to get audiobooks. I mean, most of the time if you go on iTunes, you can download one within 10 minutes and start listening to it. So you can listen to it in the car. So I take full advantage every time I'm going somewhere. I mean, if I go on a trip, I normally get at least one or two books read, just while I'm in the car. Yeah. And sometimes people even say to me, yeah, Dave, that's okay, but as soon as I start listening to one, I start to drift off, and I'll ask, okay, what do you drift off? Well, I drift off into my own ideas. Well, how cool is that? It just gives you that idea that you need to, and that's how I've got many of my ideas, is I've been listening to an audiobook, I've got some sort of an idea that someone's given me, and then I've gone off in my own little world and I've created my own sort of system, my own course or program, or just something small, some little idea that I've had that's made a massive difference to me.
Fantastic. And just to clarify, obviously when you do mention mentor, you don't have to be one-on-one with somebody, do you? Like I said, you use a lot of books and stuff as well. some of your favourite mentors that these guys could probably access online? Who would you suggest?
First one is probably the guy that's made the biggest difference was Tony Robbins or Anthony Robbins. I've listened to pretty much all of his books these days, most on audio once again. I've even been to a few of his seminars. I've seen him speak 3 times now, and it's always great. Well, probably the best presenter I've ever seen anyway. But he's been really great. Robert Kiyosaki, he's got some really good stuff. I think a lot of people have heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was a great book I read. Richest Man in Babylon was a good little book that I read first up. But there's so many different people that I listen to. Kerwin Ray, he does a lot of business and marketing, and that's where I get a lot of my good stuff from. In terms of investing, in terms of wealth creation and education, 21st century education, Jamie McIntyre, he's created a great educational finance educations. And I think that's where I've got a lot of great stuff from in terms of my investing. So that would be my main ones. Yep.
Fantastic. And guys, get on the internet, YouTube it, look it up, have half an hour an evening just to Google these guys even.
Absolutely.
And that leads on to probably the next question I asked. Obviously in our country, we've got a stigma of being the Aussie battler. Got to work hard to make your money. Mate, do you personally believe that the average Aussie can truly be successful and wealthy?
The average Australian be successful and wealthy. I think it's an interesting question. I do, if they stop being average.
Yep.
So I don't believe that they can if they're just average. I think that if you're doing average things, you're going to get average stuff. That's just the way I look at it. So you've got to get to a different level, and so if you rise and you start to educate yourself more, and most of us, I guess the little Aussie battler.
Yep.
That's mainly because we don't educate ourselves. I didn't get a massive, financial education or business education at school, did you?
No, definitely not.
So, and I find most people don't. So for me, it's about going and educating myself. And once again, it's those things that I was just talking about before, like 21st century education, which is great, and great for any level. So, if you're 16 or you're 60, you can still get so much out of it. So I believe that, you can't necessarily become truly successful if you're just average. Average people get what average people get.
Definitely. Now, final question, mate. I know you love to have your own say. So, Dave, can you tell everybody what do you define and believe as success?
Oh, it's a really tough one, isn't it? Success. I mean, for me, it's an interesting question. For me, in the past, I would have said that it's to have a really successful business. And someone will go, "Well, what's success? What's a successful business?" And I guess I would have always gone back to money. These days, I believe it's a little bit different to that. For me, I see success as having my ultimate lifestyle.
Yep.
So if you want to develop, 20 hours a week into your business and 10 hours into something else, and you get to see your family on a constant basis, or as many hours as what you would like to every single day, then that's what success is for me. So getting to live your ultimate lifestyle is basically what I would define as success. It's having the things in your life and being around the people in your life that you want to be around.
Definitely. So just doing stuff that makes you happy.
Doing what you want, when you want, how you want.
Awesome. Fantastic, Dave. Well, I hope, guys, you got a lot out of that this evening. Some fantastic insights. Now, for any of you guys that were looking to do your Cert 3 and 4 or want to continue on with the Bamboo course, Dave has got his website up, so go to personaltrainingcourses.net.au, send him an email, go over on the phone. He's always welcome to have a chat. This guy works 24 hours a day. Happy to give you a buzz. So thanks a lot for listening, guys, and we'll see you at the top.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.